So, roll call, Ann Parrish, absent Alder Brian Jensen. Here. Mohammed Rage, absent Michael Fiat.
Here.
John Calworth.
Here.
Lon Sherman.
Here.
And Terry King. All right, since we do not have a chair or vice chair, we need a nomination or a volunteer to chair this meeting.
I'll nominate Brian, because he has experience running further, it's fine, consideration of time.
Okay, is there a second?
The record reflect, this is only for tonight.
Yeah, that's duly noted. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, oh,
Well, we
look
got a
at that.
vice chair.
That was the shortest lived.
Do you want the stairs?
Shortest lived tenure in the history of chairmanship.
Sorry.
Okay,
Is someone sitting here?
You are.
no, you are.
Right.
You were also the vice chair, which means you were running the meeting.
So, we'll give Ms.
That's a lot
Parrish
of stairs.
a chance to catch your breath. Yeah, down to one elevator. Makes
I
it
didn't
all
see the
tight.
one elevator. I saw that like it was flying, so I thought, what the hell more?
Oh, one's still running, but it's a little slow. All right.
Move to approve the agenda. A second.
All right, all in favor?
I would move that we hold the approval of the minutes simply because they were not included in the packet.
Okay,
I've not seen them, so.
then, do you just want to hold them until the next meeting?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor of that motion?
Give me a second.
Second. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All again? No?
We did this last time, right? I wrote it down, but it might have been the one before. I reset it.
All right, it's all right. Gonna keep running?
Yeah, let's run until Pam's logged in
Okay.
and she can take over. D, regular business, item 1, consideration of possible action on the I-43 wetland study and business park expansion. Staff.
Thank you. Let me talk about this real quick. So I think we had come here last year, a couple months back last year. We were conducting a wetland study over the summer. Let me give you a quick, this is talking about I-43 business park expansion. So I'm going to give you just a quick overview of the business center. So it was developed in 1987 with just under 600 acres of property. City had purchased all of the property at that time and then sold it off, used the TIF to develop infrastructure, and kind of sold it off. In 97, 98, we neared our capacity. We added more acreage to get it up to about 830 acres. In 2003, our 20-year comprehensive plan was adopted. The comprehensive plan recommended expanding the business center to the east, all the way to the city limits, and there'll be a map to show that in a second. And currently, when we look at our state of the business park now, or the business center now, we no longer own any property in the business center. Demand is still pretty high. We get calls on it pretty regularly. We have businesses there that want to expand or do more facilities. And also public infrastructure, primarily sanitary sewers, out in that area now, and I can give you an idea where that is. So we began investigating the expansion to the business center really based on those three factors. We had the infrastructure, the comp plan had said we should look at it, and we're full up. But the first thing we needed really to do was check wetlands in the area. You hear a lot of rumors all the time. If you drive out there, you see it. Looks like there's a lot of wetlands out there, but we don't really know. So we looked at a specific area, and those were in your packet, so there was a study area map. And I do have extras if you want it, but it'll be up on the screen in a second. It had a little over 50 property owners, I believe 53 property owners. They all signed off to allow the city to send either city staff or a consultant to take a look to do a wetland determination, which is different than delineation. But so we did that. We hired NES Ecological Services, which is part of Robert E. Lee Associates. They went out in the spring and the summer of this year, and they produced a wetland study. So let me kind of just go over some of the stuff I just mentioned. So this is our comprehensive plan. What you see in purple, or that darker blue color, is business park. So this is the future land use map in the comp plan. So you can see where that expands out to the east and then to the north. Typically those green areas are either parks or private open space, and they generally follow navigable waterways or areas that are undevelopable. So you can kind of see where that comp plan was recommending business park to extend to. The little yellow dashed line is our current business park boundaries. When Public Works is putting a lot of infrastructure out there, again, sanitary interceptors are the primary, and there were sort of 3 or 4 different sections that they were doing. So in 2018, I want to say that's Erie Road. They went down Erie Road. In 2019, they went all the way down to the southern city limits. In 2020, they're going to be cutting across sort of an area north of Finger Road. It doesn't follow a roadway, all the way over to South Grandview, and that's going to continue all the way down to the city limits on the south side. So in essence, that entire area is now going to be opened up. It will have sanitary sewer service. It's typically the biggest issue, is to get that sanitary sewer in. So what we did is it was 52 parcels, actually, about 650 acres. It encompassed the area that's in green, so our existing business center, again, is in red. We did take a lot of area that was outside of what the comp plan recommended, just to see what was out there. Potential to expand it further, or depending what studies came back, that we had some area to outside of just what the comp plan showed. What you see in the little gold hatch mark and then the little dots that are on the screen there, those are DNR data viewer wetlands. So that's what the DNR says, where the DNR says there are wetlands right now. So what we had done, we weren't going to do delineation. They're incredibly expensive. What we did, what's called a determination. So I keep referring to it as a wetland study. But what the determination is, it's really used for conceptual planning. So it's a quick determination. They go out in the field, they kind of look at the soil conditions, they do a lot of desktop work. So they pull in stuff from the DNR, from the Farm Bureau, they look at any city data that's out there, topographical data, they fly some drones over the property and take photos, and then they also go out and do field investigation. But it is still just a determination. So it's not used, it cannot be used for permitting, can't be building permits with it. It's really just a bunch of professional engineers, educated determination of where wetlands are probably going to be and what types they are. As opposed to delineation, where they're actually going to go out there, find the wetlands, they're going to flag them to show exactly where they are. That can be used for permitting. So there's certain setbacks from wetlands. So I always want to make that point that it is definitely not a delineation. You would typically do delineation once you decide you're going to build or purchase. But the determination gives us a good idea of what's out there. So the full report is not huge, the size. What makes it so big, so the beginning part of the report itself, and that have been sent over to you, is really the methodology of how they determine the wetland study, what they used, and then as it goes back, every single parcel in the study area has its own individual map. And then there's an overview map. So this is sort of the overview map. And you see a bunch of different colors. I'm going to use this as my guide because I can't really see there. So obviously on the bottom is blue, that's open water. We don't have a lot of open water pieces. You can see detention ponds primarily popped in there. And then there's a bunch of different types of wetlands. So the green, and those are going to be the dark greens, and the greens that are over the top that are encapsulated with the outlines. Those are either forested wetlands or scrub and shrub wetlands. Those are considered high quality, and even though, you know, obviously you work with the DNR every time, those are typically wetlands that you are not going to be able to touch or do anything with. So, and you can kind of see those, again, it's not everywhere they used a aerial photo, but when you kind of look, so this is a pocket of shrub and scrub wetlands bordered by tree-lined wetlands. This is going to be a high-quality tree wetlands. So you can kind of see that they're in those purple boundaries. And then the orange are emergent wetlands. Those are wetlands that are there, but they can typically be mitigated some way or another. You can make better wetlands to mitigate the removal of some of them. You can sometimes buy into a wetland land bank or wetland bank. I'm not an engineer, but there's a lot of different ways that those can be mitigated. I guess the point is that they're there, but there's potential to mitigate them. And then the pink are the same thing, emergent wet meadows, but those are farmed, so they've been tilled over. Those are even more likely to be able to be amended because they show that they're there. However, it's hard to identify. They've been plowed over. They're being used. And this is what one of the individual sheets would look. And this one happens to be city-owned property. So when you take a look at this, each sheet inside the report, so there won't be 52 of them because there's a lot of property owners that own multiple pieces. But they'll have the parcels outlined in red, and then just sort of, you can kind of see where those wetlands fall within each parcel. So that's sort of the sample study result map, and this is just ours because we do own, well, we really own 4 parcels in there and then some rights of way that are technically still parcels at this point. I'm going to go to a black screen now. So let me go back. So what we're really kind of looking for, so this was the first step in determining if we want to expand the business center, and then also how we would want to do that. And right now it's just kind of open discussion. I have some more data that talks about land values and what staff has kind of thought about potential uses if it were to expand and what those could be. You may want to go to closed session for that. But, so we're kind of looking for direction either for more study, or it's just something that, hey, let's go for it. I mean, there's multiple ways for business parks. The way they did it in '87 is they purchased the property outright, I believe using TIF funds, put in infrastructure, and then we're lucky enough or skilled enough to get all that property sold to get enough increment. And this is a very successful TIF in this area as well, that it was extremely successful. I don't know if there's a lot of communities that are doing that anymore after the downturn. It was, mid-2000s, a lot of those people that did speculative investment felt a lot of pain. They can be done in phases. Could work with private property owners and try to just rezone. University Heights is that aspect. It's all privately owned. It's got a planned unit development over the top, and it's a industrial park business center. In that respect, we're kind of outside of control. Infrastructure would only go in as the development occurs, most likely. That's an aspect you can do it. You could do a combination of both. You could phase it in, just go certain areas. Or obviously the other option is not something the city would be interested or the EDA would be interested in this time, and just kind of leave it as it is. So that's kind of, now that we know what's really kind of developable out there, at least we suspect we know what's developable, it's kind of what we're looking for from staff, is how do we go forward with this. We did present findings of the study to the property owners last week. We had hoped to give them some of the direction, but the timing didn't work. We have several owners that were very interested in selling, others that were concerned that they don't have a business center right next to my house, something you generally can't get around with the development. So with that, I mean, if we go into a closed session, we can start talking with some of the staff stuff. I highly recommend a closed session because it may affect
Negotiations.
negotiations if you go forward.
Before we do that, though, is there anyone here that wants to speak to this item?
I guess,
Oh, 1 second, sir. I would just entertain a motion to open the floor for interested parties.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Parrish, second by Piat. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, sir, if you could just state your name and address for the record.
Gerald Busher, 1309 Erie Road, Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Okay.
A property owner out there. I'd be interested in seeing it being developed. That's my opinion. We've been sitting out there for years, and now we got sewer, water, everything out there. Would really help the city tax base if it was developed. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, anyone from the Committee of Questions? Entertain a motion to close the floor.
Motion to close the floor.
Second.
Motion by Sherman, a second by Piat. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Well, before we maybe, I guess, go into questions, since there's some things it sounds like you want to talk about in closed session, if I could get somebody to make a motion to go into closed session and read the language as listed on the agenda. So you just basically, when you go into closed session, and you have to read that verbiage word for word.
Oh, yeah. Motion to go into closed session. The committee may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.851E Wisconsin statute for purposes of deliberating or negotiating the sale of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business as necessary for competitive or bargaining reasons. The committee may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to Wisconsin statute section 19.852 to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
All right, we have a motion by Kellerwitz. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Parrish. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We are in closed session. All right, folks, we just have to ask you to step out into the hallway. If you want to rejoin afterwards, you want.
There you go.
Folks, thanks for your patience.
Motion to go back in session.
All right, we have a motion by Parrish, a second by Kellerwitz to go back into open session. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Committee, what are your wishes? We just need someone to make a motion. Entertain a motion to proceed directly in closed session.
Do we need to take a roll call?
Yes. Roll call.
Oh, to come back in?
Sorry, go back in.
So roll call, Ken Parrish,
Here.
Person Brian Johnson, Piat, John Kellerwitz, Glenn Sherman.
Here.
Okay. Now we're officially done.
All right. Good catch, man.
Thanks. Someone wrote me notes. That was good.
All right, so I would entertain a motion and then we proceed as directed in closed session.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Piat, a second by Parrish. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Pam, I'll let you take it over here with item 2.
All right. Item 2, consideration of possible action on request for proposal number 3199 for professional environmental services.
Okay, that would be me. So the city was recently awarded an additional $300,000 assessment grant, brownfield assessment grant through the EPA. So to implement this grant, we need to secure the services of an environmental professional. Staff worked with our purchasing division to go through an official RFP process. We put this out to bid. We got 4 qualified vendors to submit proposals through this RFP. We put together a team to review and score each proposal. The score sheet was actually included in your packet, so you should be able to see how each of the 4 vendors scored. We really looked closely at their experience and qualifications, management. We looked at their references, cost, And through that process, our team identified Stantec as the highest qualified vendor. We have Jackie with the purchasing division here with us tonight. If you have any questions about the process and how that went, I'd also be happy to discuss the process in greater detail if there's any questions. Otherwise, staff recommends, we recommend authorization to enter into a professional services agreement with that highest scoring vendor, Stantec, for environmental services.
Just a question, Matt.
Yeah.
Maybe, because I've not quite seen an agreement like this come through yet. So is the $300,000 grant is what we have available for this? So in essence, what we're saying is of these 4 companies, like you have 300,000, that's the cap?
We have it, yeah, that's the cap. That's the amount of funds that EPA is giving the city to conduct environmental assessment work.
And that's why we're doing the process this way as opposed to a straight bid?
Yeah, well, yes, technically. We've worked with, I think this is the 3rd or 4th time we've received this grant over the years. In previous cycles, we've gone out for bid. It's been probably a couple times, so it's been a few years since we've gone back out for bid. We thought it was appropriate to do it again, just because it's been a few years. It's federal dollars, so it's just the responsible thing to do. We want to make sure we're getting the biggest bang out of our buck, and yeah, that's kind of how it worked.
Okay. Are there any federal guidelines in terms of how that selection process needs to occur? And
Yes, there is. So we did follow those guidelines. One of them is to use our own established process for RFPs, which we've done.
it's the best guideline ever.
Mutual process.
I would move to accept staff recommendation to award the contract to Stantec.
Second. You made the motion.
Yep.
Oh,
That was a motion.
Oh, yeah, I mean.
You're in the meeting now.
Yeah. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion by Johnson, second by Sherman. Do I have any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Second.
And ready for item number 3, consideration of possible action on the City of Green Bay's farm lease renewals and new rates.
And take this one. We have a number of parcels that the city owns. About 9 parcels. I'm quick looking at the spreadsheet. We have worked in the past with a number of farmers that lease our property to keep it looking nice, so that it's not fallow fields and drive around are not that good. So it's industrious and it's a little revenue stream for the city until we are able to sell those properties. We took a look at potentially renegotiating our prices with these. It looked as if we've had the same price for quite some time, as far back as I could dig back into the computer. And so I did go through and attach the Wisconsin Ag information that I found off of the internet, and it looked like the average per acre for Brown County was $137, and so our prices were on the low side. So we're proposing that we agreed to renew the leases with these farmers, and then also to add a small increase. So the acreage that was previously rented at $100 per acre, we're moving to $120. We're proposing to $120. Acres that were at 70 are moved to 80, and we had one that was a little rockier soil, a little more difficult. It was a previous construction staging site for one of the streets. It was 50, and we moved that one to 60. I have not received any phone calls, and I did receive one of the contracts back from the farmers. So they've all been notified of the new lease rates, and I have not heard anything from anyone.
I mean, really, at the end of the day, we're looking at, a relatively small amount of money.
It's a small amount, but because we haven't increased it over the course of time, we've really fallen behind it. I mean, if the average rate is 137, and some of our rates are 50 and 80 and $100, it's probably time to make some kind of an increment.
Because this is per year, right?
Yes, so this, we have done 3-year lease rates, so they know how to order and plan and things like that. So this will be for the lease, the term will be for 2000 through 2022. So for 3 years is the term.
And this still leaves us well below the county rate.
Yes, the average county rate is 137, correct? So it's still, I think.
Would this be the same rate each year, or would it increase each year?
No, it's the same for 3 years. It's a 3-year contract.
I would move to accept the new rates as proposed or outlined by staff.
Motion by Johnson, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Caleworks. Any further discussion?
We need to have both the rates and the renewals. So do both or in?
To accept the renewals?
Oh, both separate motions?
You can do them together, but it would be the renewals and the new rates. I only heard rates, sorry.
Oh, you mean the lease renewals with the new,
Rates.
just to approve the, okay. So I'd move to approve the lease renewals with the new rates as outlined by staff in their report.
Thank you.
Second
Second.
by Caleworks. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll go to informational and one Brownfields program update.
Okay, I'll run through this pretty quickly since we're kind of running long tonight, but if there's any further detail you'd like, just stop me and we'll dig into it. So I passed out our latest numbers from this last quarter for our current Brownfields assessment grants. We started with 300,000 in 2017, so we are just about out. We've spent about 99% of our grant. We anticipate we'll probably close this out in the first quarter of next year so we can get started in our next $300,000 assessment grant. The only thing we've got funds left for really is phase 2 environmental assessment work. Only about $2,700 left. That'll probably go towards remediation planning in the shipyard area. As we continue to fine tune that development, we need to continue to do some remediation planning there. So that's probably where the remainder will go. Just looking back at this last grant cycle, we have, let's see, 14 sites is what we assessed with that $300,000. Most of them are in and around the shipyard area. We got about 7 sites right around that shipyard. We've got a few. We got one up in the rail yard, a few in the downtown, and then one all the way out east with the Nature's Way expansion. With that, we expect to leverage $68.3 million in redevelopment with this grant. So pretty successful. EPA is pretty happy with this.
Nice job.
Which is why that's why we're able to get additional grants actually, because we have shown time and time again that we're able to leverage these dollars pretty well. Looking forward, we need to turn this site into this site.
Looks good.
Yeah, doesn't it? So we've been pretty successful in securing some additional grants. We have $500,000 awarded to us from EPA for specifically the cleanup work of the shipyard. And then additionally, we have $1 million awarded from the state, WEDC, for cleanup work in that shipyard area. So I think we've been able to obtain quite a bit of support from the state and federal government on this site specifically. We've never received cleanup grants like this before, specifically at the city. So this will be new workforce, but you are our Brownfields Advisory Committee as recognized by EPA, so we'll continue to work closely with you guys on implementing those funds. We'll probably get started here within the next month or two, actually on spending these dollars for cleanup. We need to tear down some properties on Broadway. We're bringing in fill in the shipyard and we'll be installing that cap here next year.
Congratulations, I mean, that's a big deal.
Thanks. It's exciting. It's a great project, so that's what brings the money in. Also looking forward, as I mentioned, we've secured that additional $300,000 from the EPA for assessment work. So these are funds that we can use really citywide towards testing of sites that we believe might be contaminated. We can do the phase 1 where that initial investigation, looking into the property history. We can pay for those reports, we can do the lab work on the soil and the groundwater. We can do some remediation planning with those dollars. So we'll spend those over the next 3 years. Like I said, it can be used citywide, but really the way we wrote the application is we wanted to focus on our opportunity zones. The federal government recognizes that opportunity zones are areas that they want to see their dollars go toward. We want to do that as well. We've already done a lot of planning in the Belt Corridor, the University Avenue Corridor, up and down Broadway. So that's where we're going to continue to focus our efforts. So those are our priority areas, but if a good project pops up in other parts of the community, we'll definitely want to take a look at that. Also looking forward, we've applied for an additional $1 million from the EPA for a revolving loan fund. We've gone after this grant 3 times. We have not received it yet, but we're crossing our fingers this time that this is our chance.
We've been told we're close.
Yeah, the last time we were next on the list
Third
to get
time's
it.
the charm.
So, yeah, 3 times the charm. So if we got this $1 million, it would be put towards the revolving loan funds towards primarily remediation, which is a big gap. You know, we have a lot of funds to put towards testing sites, but you know, once we have identified that contamination, we've got a developer interested. We have that big gap of where's the money to clean up the site.
Preliminary concept plans.
What's that?
What about preliminary concept plans?
That's next. We can, well, we can do preliminary stuff with our assessment grant too, actually. So yeah, we hope to hear in April whether or not we've secured that fund. So we'll keep you posted. And also, we got some technical assistance funded to us through EPA. We're going to be doing some revitalization planning here next month, actually, in the neighborhood surrounding the shipyard and the coal piles. We know that this is an old neighborhood, neglected in some ways, so it's an area that the city has already really identified as a target investment area. So the EPA is helping us with, they're going to bring in some consultants in January to meet with the property owners, with the stakeholders, with the neighbors, to take a look at some of the needs in that area and look at potential policies that we could implement to really get revitalization going. So it's really just going to maximize our efforts that we've already started and take it to the next step. So that is planned for January 29th and 30th. We'll have an evening public meeting on the 29th, and then a day-long workshop on the 30th with stakeholders. We'll invite you guys to all of that, and if you're able to attend, we'd love to have you. But that's all we got for tonight. Hopefully by the next time we meet, I'll be reporting that we've closed out our last grant and we're already spending money on our next one.
All right, number 2, director's report.
All right, so as you can see, we've been busy, burning through cash, right? But I think it's really important that we show, you know, we're using it to leverage and we're very specific about, you know, doing these assessments if it facilitates a development project. There's a lot of sites, right? You can just be curious and go out and do assessments in the city, but you know, unless they're leading towards some type of development, I think we're being very particular about how we're using them. But there's a lot of good momentum, and I think we're capitalizing on that. I had emailed out, we don't have to decide it at this moment, but I think just if there's a time that we want to adjust this EDA meeting. Monday nights are super busy at City Hall, and somebody got back to me and are flexible. But just as we plan the calendar for next year, I just will follow up in the next day or two. If there's a time that we can shift this to make it work, we're flexible here.
You talking about day and time? Or
Potentially,
5
yeah.
o'clock is what, is a standard?
Nope, nope. I mean, we can meet whenever we want to meet, so long as it's publicly noticed. I think it's just balancing, right, everyone who's on the board here, and then also just, in terms of public participation, but we can be flexible with both. Do you want to say something?
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if shifting it simply to Tuesday or Wednesday can still potentially create busy nights and conflicts with personnel, finance, and parks and INS.
Right.
So even if there'd be the ability to move it, because this is right now the second Monday?
Correct.
So even if there's the ability to move like to the first or the third, it would help deconflict that situation.
Okay.
So just food for thought.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think there's anything usually that's like time sensitive in terms of a conflict with like council having to get on an agenda. So that could be something that comes up too. But yeah, there's a lot of meetings that go on at City Hall, so we're just trying to get, so we're able to fully participate and not have these real conflicts. But that's all I have for my report.
Date of next meeting, January 13th, 2020.
That is what will be on the calendar as proposed, unless we decide to change the schedule for next year, but as we're holding it right now. Good.
Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Moved by.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Calawords. Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, we're adjourned.
Maybe drive safe or walk safe.
Yeah, it was not the best, no.
This morning, I couldn't decide if I wanted to walk or drive.
I hope
Like,
not.
walking would be safe, but then I'm like, wait, then I gotta walk all the way
Getting a
back.
bottle home.